Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the archived version of the developer commentary run of Mirror's Edge Catalyst that we did as a live stream. This run was done as part of a charity marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is presented without ads, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this content, please consider donating $1 or $2. You can find links that on the video and in the description. Enjoy. Lots and lots of questions. We are not going to have time to answer everything. If your question pops by at a moment where we're busy talking about something else or playing something else, then we're going to ignore it and just ask again a bit later. Like, don't spam.
Yeah. I see one question here. Is there actually an in-game model for Celeste, and if not, was that ever considered for the game? No, there was. We never had Celeste in the game. Celeste is in the prequel comic, and you can hear Celeste. Her voice is in one of the audio stories that you can find the pickups in the city. But we never had Celeste as an in-game character.
Okay, so just a quick break here for a few donations that have come in. We are currently at $191, which is very nice. Savage donates and says, for teleports and cancer. I am more for teleport than for cancer, I must say. And Kiwi donates and says, it's not much, but it's all I have right now in my PayPal. Hope you will succeed with whatever you want to do in the future. Thank you very much.
There you are. What do you want? Oh, just a look at you. Wait,
this is another little interesting sequence. This was also added pretty late.
Yes,
yeah, the Dogen henchwoman.
Yep.
Who we felt we needed a better introduction to Dogen, the character, and the fact that Faith actually owes him money.
So my best friend is out of prison and she doesn't even come to visit?
So it's one of the few, but I think it's actually, I think you made it skippable.
Everything is skippable.
Yeah. But also one of the things I'm happy we took the time to do.
It's part of quite a lot of things that we added in there, where it's still a little bit of a problem, but the world felt very empty for a while.
Yes, it did. It's the thing is, the city is actually, I mean, it's cluttered with stuff. There's tons of stuff in it, but it's the whole aesthetic of the city means that it's
surviving.
It is a clean. It looks clean. It's bright, and
so what do you need help with?
It's almost supposed to look a little empty, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's so there was tried to strike that balance of clean and empty, and not just empty. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, a Mirror's Edge game has to look like a Mirror's Edge game. That's.
Can you do it?
Yeah,
sure.
And
you know me.
it's such a big part of it, that the
You can play
of
indifferent,
the
but I
mood.
know why you got locked up.
Yeah, I was stupid. Where can I find these boxes?
Not far from here. I'll mark them for you.
Okay, on it.
I've been getting a few other components for the Outcast, and with these chips, they'll have everything they need.
Alright, I got the first chip.
Great. The next relay box should be close.
This is the first time you accept a mission, I think. Either this or Birdman.
Yeah.
There's another thing that we had so many iterations going on. Like, how do you accept missions? Do they just pop up? Do they just start automatically? Do you just have to be nearby? All of those questions.
And
something you have to answer at some point.
And it's so. I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it, but it just took so many. I had a lot of misconceptions of how it would feel. And like with everything, like I said earlier, I mean, I just have to, you have to see it, you have to play it to, sometimes to just know if it's going to be a good thing or not.
It's also like, even if this team was smaller than what you would normally have for like a Battlefield game or something like that, it's still a big team, and you have to communicate, and everybody who's making any part of this like mission acceptance structure has to understand how everything is meant to fit together.
Yeah.
So at some point we decided how it was supposed to work, and then we built something completely different. And then once you have that, you have to take a stance on, do you change it, or do you, make something out of what you have now?
Yeah.
Wow, I messed this up. There we go. Wow. How was it working on the Frostbite engine? I have worked on so many Frostbite games.
Yeah.
So this one is no different for me. That said, it's for some groups of people great to work with. For other groups of people, not so great to work with. Like, you have the different disciplines when you're making computer games. Some people are going to have a much more smooth experience than others.
Yeah. I think this was my... Yeah, you worked on a couple more titles that I weren't on.
Yeah, I've worked on Frostbite since the first version of the engine.
Yeah, and I my first proper I think the first game that was released was probably Medal of Honor for me.
Good, but we have a problem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Trouble not far from you. Listen.
No! Scan my grid prints again! I did. You were supposed to be on your way to Food Dome Epsilon 3 days ago.
How did you guys divide the work on parts of the map? It's interesting. There's a lot of different work that goes in, so some of it was overlapping. But whoops. Basically, we had we would have like somebody who was doing level design for either a mission or an area. They would basically set up a first little layout of this region, and they would make sure that there's good gameplay, there's some fun to be had playing in this area. And then we also have level artists or world artists who would come in and try to make it look like a believable city and make it correspond to the art style and make it be a part of the game that we can ship.
Yeah, the we had Anchor and Downtown white boxed really early. They changed a lot during the development, of course, but we had the buildings, basically huge chunks of buildings and rooftops that we were running on. We had that really early on, way earlier than any other game I've worked on. We had the scale of stuff finished really early, and that was done. I mean, level designers and artists were working on that together. The level designers set it up, but there was a lot of basically trying to get thinking about composition and thinking about heights and verticality, horizontality, and everything like that early on. And then it just goes through so many iterations until it's done.
And yes, like it's very hard to divide the work, and there is times where two people have been essentially sitting in different parts of the office working on the same part of the city, and it's impossible to just get both of those people's work in.
Yeah.
And that happens. We try to avoid it as much as possible. We did like merge people's work and stuff, but sometimes it happens, and there's not really much you can do about it other than decide who gets to redo their work.
Yeah, that makes everybody really happy. But it's always going to happen in teams this big.
Slight change of plans. They want to use another dead drop nearby, and there's a bunch of K-Sec patrols between you and there. Probably responding to the commotion from before.
Gonna quickly answer a question I see here. Is there any connection between Birdman and Bird Person from Rick and Morty? No.
Other than the name.
Other than the name.
Well, that K-Sec will be sore tomorrow.
Why keep the mission areas separate from the free roaming? That was actually an intentional design decision all along, to have unique parts of the city that because the mission areas are more densely scripted and have a much tighter controlled flow than the rest of the city. And that's what we wanted to do. And the mission areas are also the parts of the game where the story progresses, really. So that was
I guess you can say that the mission areas have kind of different requirements from the rest of the game. Like, we can do things in those areas that we couldn't do in the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's enough if only one of them opens their eyes because of what we show them.
Wow.
Faith, if you're done with whatever you've been doing, you should get on to Birdman. He's waiting. As soon as you're done with Birdman, we'll see about getting your situation with Dolan sorted out. Then we can put all this behind us. Hey, Faith, I need your help. We just barely repelled a Kruger-Sec attack on the beach.
Wait.
Data got scattered all over the city, and now it's leaking through the grid. Please tap into any leaks you see, and we'll get that data reassembled.
And now I'm commenting on stuff that is a few, I guess, 20 seconds after you played it, but the or something. But this corridor is our homage to the first, a place in the first Mirror's Edge.
I think a lot of people recognize that too.
Yeah.
I keep hearing scanning breakfast. That's not what they say.
Easy there. Leave my door alone. Patience.
What are the reasons for all those different types of drones flying about?
Careful with that mouth, girl.
I mean, some of they're
That's all I get.
are we in a cutscene now? Maybe I shouldn't talk.
No,
I think with the way they are playing,
Told him I'll do nice things.
it's probably not a problem.
Okay.
Test yourself.
I mean, the drones, there's media drones, there's surveillance drones, there's etc. And but it's also a way for us to add more movement and add more life, because on rooftops, I mean, there aren't that many people just casually strolling about on
That's why I can
rooftops.
smell my own.
So that's another thing. We wanted this, so we added the drones, and I think the drones are actually controlled, most of them, by the same crowd system that
Good to have you
controls
back, girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
cars and boats and everything like that.
I'm guessing Birdman challenged you to a dash. I can
So yeah, the scanning grid print, scanning breakfast. It actually. I don't know if it was you, Mika, or somebody else, but we added a delay because it used to trigger the scanning grid print immediately if you came into the vicinity, the proximity of one of those cameras. But we added a delay so you could sometimes, if you were moving just straight past it, it wouldn't actually play. Because
I do know I had opinions about it, at least. I do agree, it is very annoying.
But I wanted the city to talk to the player basically at all times. That's why we added those propaganda towers as well. That with the voice of glass speaking. But the scanning grid print was maybe a bit much.
A couple of donations. We have an anonymous donation for $23.20. No comment, but thank you very much for that. And a donation from Jock. It says $1 for now, but more will come soon. Oh god, I hope I will keep that promise. Success with the stream. Thank you very much. Let's not follow the red arrows, shall we?
No. That's one of my
Wow.
best memories from the development of this was when we showed the game. We let people play it for the first time at E3, and we had a dash, which was similar to Birdman's dash, but wasn't the exact one. And people were playing it at E3, and when they eventually realized that they didn't have to follow the red arrows.
I see your dash time is a Faith. Not bad. Glad to see you.
This is a very, very interesting thing to see people play it and just keep trying and trying and trying and not understanding how people could be so good, because they would just go the marked out route. But then suddenly there's like you could almost see the light bulb above their head.
It has a bling.
Yep. So let's go do Birdman's other missions before we head on from here.
Yep.
This is actually an interesting thing, because we this messenger girl, this mission was initially a part of this tutorial section that is sort of between release and back in the game. So it was a required mission at one point.
Yeah, but we made it optional, which was absolutely the right choice.
Yeah, you can see how the game developed in the structure, because it's actually the tutorial for the what do they call it? The quick the systematic deliveries.
Yeah, exactly. The delivery missions.
Yeah. So they're the machines that give deliveries, and then there's the people who give deliveries. And this is the tutorial mission for the machine given deliveries, you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then you don't have to do this tutorial before you get the other missions, because we changed the structure late enough that we couldn't really include that tutorial somewhere else. Why is it not replayable?
Which one? The follow the red or
messenger girl? Follow the red isn't replayable because it's basically the dash is replayable.
Yeah, exactly. And messenger girl
isn't replayable because none of the others are. I think we just didn't feel like it was a necessity.
No, I think so too. There's somebody who's asking here, why did you slow down the pace in Mirror's Edge Catalyst? It feels more like parkour than speedrunning, in my opinion. I don't think we did slow it down a lot. Speedrunners have probably measured this way more, way better, so I'll have to be careful but what I say. But I think we basically stuck to the same, more or less the same metrics as the first game.
I think the impression is probably that it's slowed down.
Yeah.
Because the
don't have
glitches aren't there.
Yeah, that could be it. And we had, and also the screen effects aren't the same ones, at least, you know. So yeah.
These delivery missions are interesting too. Very long time. They would start immediately when you picked the mission up. The timer would start, and you're just gonna go. You had no idea which direction you were supposed to go, even.
Yeah, they will.
So I was like, I wanted to do this leave the circle thing that we have in the game, but I didn't have time for it, and time was running out, and just squeezed it in like the last second. I'm so happy it made it in.
Got confirmation that the package has been delivered.
Yeah, you could. I mean, especially the designer that worked on these delivery missions, he basically grinded the game until he could get, you know, really great times at the delivery missions. and then but you could basically not succeed with them unless you knew exactly where you were going immediately from when they started. So I'm really happy with that. You could take a look, or get your bearings.
Favorite mission in the game?
Favorite mission in the game is... I really like Kingdom, the Kingdom Come. But I also really like one of the missions that... let me see here. Oh, this is like, picking your favorite child. But I really like Kingdom because it's massively different when it comes to architecture and style and look. I'm a super sci-fi. I just love the whole hidden underground science base. It's just like the perfect setting, and the fact that we could build one here I just love that.
Yep, that's a good one. I would say I really like Prisoner X and
that's awesome.
Benefactor. Though I've played the Benefactor a few too many times.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I had to test a lot because there were a bunch of save-related problems.
Benefactor is great too.
But it's a good mission.
Basically, missions where you get to scale incredible heights are because just looking down from high up is a great feeling in Catalyst.
Actually, Top of the World is really good at that too.
Oh yes,
a few really scary jumps there where you just go, I'm gonna have to do what?
Yeah, they can't possibly.
Yeah. Why did you remove the hackable billboard that was in the playable E3 demo? That thing was specially made for that demo.
Yeah, it wasn't there ever to begin with. It was there for the demo, and then the actual billboard
First beacon is not too far from
was. It exists somewhere else in the downtown district. I don't remember which one we.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but it was we had this confined area and we wanted to showcase billboards, so we just moved it there temporarily.
So the E3 demo was, we wanted some combat, we wanted a dash, and we wanted a hackable billboard, because those were the three objectives you could choose. People that played the E3 demo had, I think, 12 minutes or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And we wanted them to have a choice what to play in those minutes, and I don't think 12 minutes. I think the first 4 or 5 minutes were actually in the release mission.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things in release actually in the released game that are the way they are because of those 12 minutes.
Yes,
because we had a bunch of things where people had to do those things in 12 minutes, so it's very important that they quickly find their way out of this area.
Yes.
And then those things ended up just staying.
Yeah.
That got set, yeah.
What of the camera is controlled by the player and what by the game? I guess you mean the first-person camera. I mean, most of it is actually controlled by the player, way more than in the first Mirror's Edge. One of the design philosophies for this game was to basically have a way more responsive control system. So it is actually a lot more responsive than the first Mirror's Edge. It basically listens to your input more often and doesn't lock you into animations, etc. So I think there might be some slight things happening with the camera. For instance, when you're jumping, it might tilt a little bit downward, but I don't even know if we ended up with that.
I'm not sure either, to be honest.
We had some, when you do balance walks, it might tilt downwards a bit too, so you can see your feet to see what you're doing. But you can always counter that by, in that case. I don't remember exactly where we ended up, to be honest, but I know we experimented with stuff like that.
Talia found.
What was the thought behind not including a restart mission button? It's just an oversight. It's
That's not good. She was coming in from
by the time I realized that I wanted one in,
around a bit.
it was too late to get it into the last patch I worked on.
Yeah.
So what you have to realize with those patches was that much of it was done before the game was released. You move on to working on patches and trying to get more stuff in that you want in just after finishing up your work on the game. Send off a disk and then start working on patches, basically, and DLC and stuff.
Another runner.
That's how games work.
Another runner? Well, maybe they have the capsule.
I found the capsule. Another runner hid it. Left a cabal mark I haven't seen before.
Whoever made Benefactor has to be locked up.
We can tell them.
Yeah.